Welcome to the Fit Life for Busy Parents podcast. My name is Coach Cam, and our mission here is simple. I want to inspire you as a busy parent to go out there and reclaim your health, energy, and identity through a series of proven strategies to be able to go out there and turn one day into a lifestyle. So, today we are talking about something from, I have to go outside of the video here for a moment, from a book that I started reading called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This book is profound. I've only read like the first like 60 pages, and so I just started this weekend. But Eckhart Tolle in this book, on the back here, it says, to make the journey into the power now, we will need to leave our analytical mind and its false created self, the ego, behind. From the very first page of this extraordinary book, we move rapidly into a significantly higher altitude where we breathe a lighter air. We become connected to the indestructible essence of our being, the eternal, ever present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. So, with that being said, the point that he's trying to get across in this book, which again, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but insofar with what I've read, is how important it is to be in the now, right? Now is the only thing that we have. And he's, established throughout this book so far that we have delusionally created the idea that there's a past and a future. And those are things that we have 100% control over, or we want to believe we have as much control over it as we possibly can, right? He's saying that this is not only a delusion that our mind has created to be able to be in control, but it is essential for our mind, right? Not us as human beings, but for our mind to be able to function. Because if we are focused in the now where there is no time and we're just present, we are not able to be able to have the analytical side, the problem solving side, because in the moment, we are here, we are present, we are focused in, and we're able to enjoy life for what it is, have the stillness where our brain does not need to be constantly having chatter. And that is, opposition to what the brain wants, right? So, what our brain and us as humans have done have created this identity that is linked to our brain, meaning that our thoughts, how we judge things, how we view things, what our beliefs are, what our emotions are, how we feel about things are who we are as an individual. And he's saying that's a delusion. That is our mind trying to create a reality where we are our mind and that our mind is in control of us rather than the other way around, where our mind is really just like anything else, right? We have hands, right? But we don't look at ourselves as a hand, right? We look at ourselves as having hands, but we don't say, I am a hand because I have hands and because my hands do so many amazing things for me, right? Rather, our hand is a tool to be able to grab water, right? Take a sip of water and hold that, right? Our hand is a tool to be able to hold our book here and read, right? Be able to hold our phone here and be able to do things with it, right? Our hand is a tool, right? We are not our hand, but our brain has tricked us into believing that we are our brain instead of it being like our hand, right? Meaning that if I need to analyze something, if I need to be able to problem solve, if I need to be able to understand things, then I'll use my brain. But when I'm done with the task, right, I'll stop using it. Just like our hands, just like our feet, just like our knees, right? We won't continue to just stand all day because it's like, well, I am my feet. So I have to stand, right? It's like, no, we can use it when we need to. And then if we're sitting down and such, right, we can go ahead and kick them up and be able to relax them, not really use them, right? But we don't have this, most people, I should say. It's not that we don't. What our brain has tricked us into doing is not being able to find that off switch, right? And so this has become an addictive and vicious cycle, as he, portrays in this book, that we cannot turn off our brain. So while we're going through our day-to-day life, right? When we're doing things that are a means to an end, right? So let's say we're walking up the stairs, we are walking from point A to point B, maybe we're washing our hands, brushing our teeth, right? We are doing things that are just an action to be able to get to the end of something, right? If you're brushing your teeth, the goal is to be able to have your teeth be cleaned, right? But during these times, our mind is still playing, right? It's still talking. We're thinking about what do I have later on today, right? What did I have from the past, right? And maybe that's coming up and making me form decisions around things that I've been through in the past. And so now when I'm going to talk to person XYZ, I'm going in with that past experience and using that towards how I'm going to react to them, right? I'm also maybe going into the conversation thinking, right, prior to even having the conversation of what that conversation is going to be like, anticipating what should I say? What are they going to say back? What is this? What is that, right? And so, although this is valid use of our brains in the sense that when we're having that conversation, right, we need to be able to take in, analyze, understand, and then compute and spit out information, right? When we're brushing our teeth, we, we don't really need to think about that future thing or think about how conversations went in the past. And that's why this one we got to be able to think differently and this, that, and the other, right? While we're brushing our teeth, we literally just need to be able to be brushing our teeth, right? So in those times, that's where he's saying create a gap in time to feel joy, to feel present, to be able to understand your surroundings so that if I'm brushing my teeth, I can be tasting the mint flavor of my toothpaste, let's say, or feeling the bristles, right? Maybe it's a brand new toothbrush, so it's a lot more firm and I can feel it kind of rolling around my teeth, right? I can feel my teeth as I'm brushing them starting to get cleaner, maybe not having like a layer of film over them, right? As disgusting as that sounds, whatever it might be, right? Maybe we go down to drink some water, right, and be able to swish out our mouth, and we feel the coldness of the water, the crispness of the water, right, and feel that, spit it out, right, wash our hands, whatever it might be, right. But we're actually during those actions that are usually a means to an end, we're actually present. We're actually taking in the information. We're actually understanding and feeling and being in a moment that can breathe. Right. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not bringing up my past experience to this. I'm just here. Right. And so from that standpoint, he says that this is actually when we have pure joy, pure happiness, stillness. This is why people love meditation. This is why people, even to an extent, maybe love being able to do like yoga and things like that, right? Because you have poses, but you're just focused into the moment. You're not thinking about what you're going to do after yoga. You're not thinking about what you're going to do before yoga, but just in that moment, right? I just need to do downward dog or put my arm up in the air and hold this position for X amount of seconds, right? You're just focused in on the task. And the reason why I found this so profound is because as an online fitness coach, right, as having title training, one of the biggest things that I hear from people, right, is how they constantly not, being able to go to the gym as much as they want to or work out as much as they want to, right? And it's I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm not going to get into all the nuances of the different reasons why people can't go, but it always made me very curious. Like, why do people long so much for the gym? Right? Like I get it. I like going to the gym too. But truthfully, the gym in and of itself is not going to help you lose fat. I almost everybody that I talk to wants to lose fat, lose weight, get leaner, right? Lose, body fat percentage. I want to have a six pack. I want to get my clothes to I want to wear a smaller size, right? I whatever. But they're all about weight and fat, right? Virtually nobody tells me, oh, I just want to get super swole, right? I want to get super big muscles, right? There's people here and there, but not the majority. Yet almost everybody tells me how I need to go to the gym more often. So it kind of begged the question for me, why are we always so worried about the gym? Well, I think this book to me kind of unlocked why, even to myself, I've had this feeling that I need to be in the gym more, I need to work out more. And the reason being is just like the yoga analogy that I talked about. When you are lifting weights, or maybe you're doing a HIIT workout, maybe you're doing yoga, maybe you're doing cycling, right? It doesn't really matter what exactly the workout is, you are becoming present because the only thing that's your task is this one thing in front of you, which is in the moment. It's not asking you to prepare for future workouts, right? It's not even asking you to necessarily think about past workouts, although you might look at, okay, last week I did 225 for something and now I'm going to do 235. It's very momentary, right? Going back to the past and then coming back to the present moment, where now it's, okay, I figured out what I did in the past. I know what I need to be able to do now. Okay, lock in. Get ready, put the bar on my back, put it above me, right? Lift up, whatever it is. But I'm in the moment. I'll focus on this one task. And if my mind's everywhere else, I'm not going to be able to be successful with this one task. So I think that the gym and working out is a very unique, a unique situation throughout our day to day where we're actually present. And I think that's why people enjoy so much going to the gym is that it's an hour, sometimes 2, 3 hours, right? Depending on the individual, that they get to focus on them. They get to focus on the moment. They get to detach from their mind and all the constant chatter, the mental movies, as Eckhart Tolle talks about in our minds, right? Where it's playing out scenarios, right? It allows us just to focus at the task at hand, become present, focus on our breathing, focus on our, how slow you're going with the tempo, right? Focusing on how much weight you're pushing, what it feels like, right? What the scenario is, how is my back, how is my chest placement, right, etc. We're very, very, very locked into the moment. And he actually says in this book that this is one of the ways to be able to get rid of pain. He says here um, that, so first off, he says that Buddha actually stands for the awakened one, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know if anybody else knew that, so I just thought that I would throw that out there. But um, he says that pain is inevitable as long as you identify with the mind. I'm talking here primarily about emotional pain, which can cause physical pain and disease. Um, I'm sorry, that's not the part that I wanted to read. I do apologize. But he was talking about that there's that still live on in your mind and body. Yeah, so he's talking about that basically, I forget exactly where it is in here. I highlighted a couple different things, but that the oh, okay, here it is. I'm sorry. Now I got to it. So he talks about that our mind is almost in opposition of itself, right? And so he says one of the main tasks that the mind is to fight or remove that emotional pain that we have throughout our day, which is one of the reasons for its incessant activity. But all it can ever achieve is to cover it up temporarily. In fact, the harder the mind struggles to get rid of the pain, the greater the pain becomes. The mind can never find the solution, nor can it afford to allow you to find the solution because it is in itself an intrinsic part of the problem. And then it says, imagine the chief of police trying to find an arsonist when the arsonist is the chief of police. You will not be free of that pain until you cease to derive your sense of self from identification with mind, which is to say, from ego, right? That's what he talks about. That ego is the false self. So with this being said, right, this is the reason why being able to silence the mind is so powerful, is because the mind is constantly working, but it's also constantly creating us pain. So when we get to that space where the mind actually has to be silent because we're focused into the moment, we are actually going to have more joy. We're going to feel more satisfied. And this is exactly what people feel when they go maybe for a 20, 30-minute run, right? And they're just focused on the run. Maybe they put in some AirPods and they're just listening, right? They're just listening to music or they're listening to a podcast or whatever, but they're just in the moment running, right? They're just listening. They're just taking in the environment, right? Maybe it's strength training and they're lifting up heavy weights, right? And they're just super excited that they were able to, lift a little bit heavier, right? But they're actually in the moment, right? They're not thinking about tomorrow. They're not thinking about the next workout. They're just thinking about the workout today, right? Maybe it's doing a yoga class, right? Where it's just focusing in on what the instructor says and being able to make sure that you're in this moment doing the yoga class, right? Not worried about later on. And I think that 20, 30 hour and a half, whatever time frame is really, really key. One, for why we enjoy working out. But two, I can almost make the argument why that makes exercise, right? Losing weight, being able to continuously move your body can be so profound that this is the small amount of time throughout the day that we can actually get our mind to cease, silence, give us that space. And I think that one, not only is that going to help us to be able to have that time, but two, it's also going to be able to continue to create longer gaps of time where we can actually lock in and focus in on just ourselves, just the moment, just the lift, just what we're doing here in the present moment of now, instead of constantly thinking about the future. And then as we get better and better about being able to calm down that noise, stop running the mental movies in our brain, we become in control. And we can start to watch what he calls watching the thinker, which is now when you do have emotions, when you do have thoughts, when you do have these analytical judgments or preconceived notions or whatever, you become aware that, oh, that's not me. That's my mind thinking those things. And I wonder why my mind is thinking that. Not in a judging way, but just from a purely what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm actually observing? Right? Is this the mind or is this me? Right? And again, separating the two continues to give us more of that joy, continues to keep us more present. And it's definitely something that I've found, even in the short amount of time that I've read this book, being able to be more present has astronomically made me feel more connected, makes me feel more spiritually awakened, makes me feel more at peace, joyful, still. And I think that that is something in and of itself, especially in our busy society with Instagram and everything else, can be super, super profound. So go out there and continue to be in the moment. Understand the power of now. If you haven't read this book, I would highly, highly, highly recommend going and checking it out. It was like $9 on Amazon. Super easy read, super, super good. Has breaks points in within it to be able to kind of be introspective. And I think, again, being able to create larger and larger gaps will continue to get us where we want to go. So, all in all, let's continue to turn one day into a lifestyle. Subscribe so that you don't ever miss an episode of the Fit Life for Busy Parents podcast. And let's continue to ride this tidal wave.